What is trust? Trust is the firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Hi, I'm Caleb. Welcome back to my channel, The Trusted Advocate. And today I want to talk to you about the 9 things that case managers do that erode trust with clients. Let's get into it. Brené Brown, a well-known research professor out of the University of Houston, she well known for her TED Talk on vulnerability. She defines trust as choosing to make something important to you vulnerable to the actions of someone else. So she believed the essence of trust is vulnerability. Like, this is the essence of what she believes. She actually defines, she breaks it down strategically and specifically to, she believes that trust is built incrementally, not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent, and reliable actions over time. She actually used a concept that I love. This concept is phenomenal.
That these marbles were being earned on these very small, she knew my grandparents' name. She gave me a seat to sit at. She checked on me when I was missing school. Where Gottman say, trust is earned in small moments every day.
And so she says how to build trust with this person is incrementally. A hello today, following through on what you promised you would do. They'll dump one marble into the jar, another marble into the jar. And each incremental thing that you do as a sign of building trust, like being consistent, doing what you said you weren't going to do, checking in on them. Each one of those little items, you're incrementally gaining that person's trust. And so over time, you build up trust. And once you build up enough trust to where your jar gets full and you have the complete total trust of that individual. And that is ultimately the goal of case managers. And so that's what I want to kind of talk about today, building trust, but not only building trust, but I want to highlight the 9 things case managers do that destroy trust. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about that case managers do that destroy trust is poor or inconsistent communication. When clients feel ignored, uninformed, or confused about their services, trust erodes quickly. Effectively, case managers rely heavily on clear communication and relationship building with clients and providers. So this is not returning calls in a timely manner. Like, they might call you on Monday, you might not return that call till Friday. Poor communication. This is not returning emails. They email you on Tuesday, you don't respond. You might even just miss it and you never respond to it. Or this might be failing to explain processes, like if you're going to be doing work with this individual, or you might be doing a treatment plan, whatever it is, you explain this is what's going to happen, but you don't explain the entire process. So they're left to guess and wonder about what the next steps are. Did they get the service? Did they not get the service? Just complete poor communication. So what you want to do is you want to actually over explain to the clients. You want to over explain the process. You want to make sure you're returning those phone calls within 24, 48 hours and make sure you provide an explanation like, hey, this is what's going to, I wasn't able to get to you, but this is how we're going to operate moving forward. Maybe if you just send somebody a text message, right? How long does it take to send a text message? It doesn't take that long. All right, it's probably like 2 seconds. You just send a text message and say, I will call you in 5 minutes in the middle of something. Boom. I mean, you're texting anyway at work. Or like, why not just send a text message to somebody if they send you a call, right? So that's number 1. The number 2 reason that case managers destroy trust with their clients is going to be overpromising what you can't deliver. Now, this is big. I know, especially like new case managers, they come in, you're ecstatic, you're hyped, you're pumped, you're ready to do your job, and you have clients asking you about different items. They might ask you for, how long is it going to take me to get services? I want to move into my own house. And you say something like, oh yeah, I can get that for you. I can get that to you by next week, right? That's overpromising. And then in actuality, when you leave that client and you get back to the office, or you get back to wherever you're operating, maybe you're working from home, and then you actually go through the protocol and the process and you see, and actually move somebody from inception, from doing an application for housing, getting their own place to stay, to them actually moving in is a minimum of 30 to 60 days, right? Now we got a big problem because you overpromised and now you're going to underdeliver, right? So now you have to go back to this individual and you have to explain to them, oh, I misspoke. I said I could do it in a week, but in actuality, it's going to take 30 to 60 days. Now you don't look like an expert. You look like a novice. It's pretty embarrassing. You look like you don't know what you're doing. And then the question is, hey, should I get another case manager? Because this guy doesn't know what he's doing, right? So you have to make sure that you never overpromise and underdeliver. If anything, you want to underpromise and overdeliver, right? So you have that same scenario. They say, hey, I want to get my own house, own apartment. Say, hey, I can get you. It might take 6 months to a year, but we can get you in. We can get you in that apartment if we do everything right, every step. We make sure we don't miss any steps. We can get you in there within 6 months. When in actuality, you know that the process is 30, 60 days. That's a case of underpromising and over-delivering. Now, what's going to happen is that same client is going to look at you as, oh my goodness, this guy knows what he's doing. Not only does he know what he's doing, but he gets stuff done. Like, I can trust this guy, right? See, that's that incremental trust that you're building with that client that Brené Brown was talking about, right? That's that one incremental trust that you built with that individual. So that's number 2. Number 3, poor documentation or inaccurate records. Documentation is a core professional responsibility in case management and is essential for continuity of care and accountability. Now, you understand that trust is damaged when you misrepresent yourself or you misrepresent the client, the provider, whatever the case may be. Documentation is a huge part of being a case manager or being a trusted advocate. Spend a great deal of time documenting. It's an accountability tactic. It's a way to hold you accountable. It's a way to hold the clients accountable. It's a way to hold the service providers accountable. And not only is it a way to hold them, everybody accountable, it's also how you get paid. It's how the company gets paid. It's how you get your paycheck, right? It's documentation. So inaccurate representation of anybody. I've seen or I've heard stories about people that might really embellish the client and their documentation. Might say, oh, the individual seemed frustrated or she didn't seem too smart, X, Y, and Z. Keep in mind that each client, each individual has a right to see their electronic health record. They have a right to come back and say, hey, I want to see everything that you provide, that you documented on me for the last year. They have access to that information, right? I don't know if you know that, but they can see that information. So you want to make sure you leave out your personal feelings, your biases, whatever case may be, and just document the pertinent information. So that's number 3. Number 4, breaking confidentiality. Sharing sensitive information improperly can instantly destroy trust. Maintaining privacy and confidentiality of a client information is a fundamental ethical duty in case management practices. So confidentiality is paramount for case managers. Now, you might be talking to a coworker in the office trying to get advice on how to a particular situation, right? That is permissible, right? Like all the case managers in your office, they probably all have that same confidentiality agreement. So it's talking about cases or brainstorming with coworkers in the office where you're not going to have random civilian ears listening. It's fine. Talking with your supervisor is fine. Now, what is not fine is breaking confidentiality. Like if you're working at Starbucks or Panera Bread or whatever, and you're just talking about individuals' personal information just out in the open, and you have civilians or people that are not part of the company just sitting around listening to this information that you're spewing to them. I actually had this was probably several years ago where there was a coworker of mine that was out, and she was talking with one of her friends about a particular case. And we're actually working together, but I'm not actively participating in that conversation, separate, and I'm watching them have this conversation. And a random customer that's at, I think it was Starbucks, they get up and they came over to them and they whispered something to them. And then they walked away, and I said, hey, what did they say? And it was like, oh, well, they were just saying that we're talking too loudly and we're talking about people, their personal information. We probably want to keep it down because there are a lot of ears around and they can hear this information. So that kind of blew me away. So that's what you want to make sure you don't break confidentiality. You don't talk about people's personal protected information out in public. You want to make sure you do it in a concealed environment where it's like-minded coworkers. You're in the office. Everybody has that confidentiality agreement. So that's okay, but not in public. Number 5, letting personal biases or frustration show. When case managers allow their personal feelings to influence their work, it damages objectivity and advocacy. So this is a challenge. Each and every day, it's a challenge, especially when you're working with some individuals. They can get a little rude, a little disrespectful at times. And so you have to remind yourself, like in one of my other videos, I talk about having that short-term memory. You can't let that impact how you serve that individual, right? Because they all need services. Some people have a bad day. You got to keep that in mind. Everybody's not going to always have a good day, unless you're a case manager. Then we have good days every day, right? We're not allowed to have bad days. So you want to make sure that you don't let anything that the client may have done to you 5 minutes ago, yesterday, 2 weeks ago, a month, a year ago, none of that you can't let any of that stuff affect you, because it comes across as unprofessional, disrespectful, and corrective actions, disciplinary actions complaints. You don't want any complaints saying like, oh, this person is biased towards me, and leave it to the clients. They will come up with some stories, right? They might come up with some things that's not even true. So you want to make sure you always use that short-term memory, forget everything that happened prior, and this is a brand new day, a brand new client, and you're going to serve them with the utmost respect, and you're going to give them as much support as you can within reason, within your scope, your job. So you want to keep that in mind. Number 6, failing to advocate for the client. The core purpose of a case manager is to advocate on behalf of the individual that needs your support. That is the core component. So some case managers, you don't want to get to the point where you're worrying more about dollars and costs as opposed to advocating for what's in the best interest of the individual. Always advocate for what's in their best interest, not the company's interest, not where the money is coming from, how it's going to get paid, but you always want to advocate for what's in the best interest of the individual, because that's why we're here, right? That's why we're in this position. That's why they hired us. That's why they brought us in, because they may not have the capacity to advocate for themselves. So they're bringing in us. Yes, we are the experts, right? They're bringing in the experts to help move them along and help them get to where they want to be in life, right? So we are the experts, and a core component of our job is to advocate. Probably about 90% of our job is advocating. So you want to make sure you do that to the utmost of your abilities. Number 7, not following through on your commitments. Reliability is crucial. Trust breaks down with case managers when they say, I'm going to schedule this meeting as soon as we get off the call. I'm going to follow up and get back to you. But they never actually do. Understand, because I've been doing this for almost a decade. So life happens. They're not your only client. You're probably working a caseload, probably more than what you would like. And so things do kind of get jumbled, forgotten. You might miss something. The best thing you always want to do is make sure you admit that you made a mistake and fix it as quickly as possible, and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Because if this becomes like a pattern of you for saying you're going to follow through on something, you don't do it. Do the referral. You need to send the email, send a phone call, or schedule medical appointment. Like, this could be life threatening, believe it or not. Like, you said you're going to schedule a medical appointment, you forget to do it. Like that person cannot get their insulin. They cannot get their diabetes management medication. So it could be life threatening. So you want to make sure you always follow through with what you say you're going to do, because you want to, like I said, at the end of the day, you're the professional, right? You want to show them that you know what you're doing, and you're going to follow through with what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it, right? Because you want to, at the end of the day, we want to build that incremental trust with that individual, and want to do this with every client that we're serving. Number 8, poor cultural sensitivity. So as a case manager, you're going to spend a lot of time with some people that look like you and some people that don't look like you. And you're going to find that you're going to be working with individuals that might be from another country, another state than you. They might be yellow, they might be red, they might be green, they might be all kinds of colors, right? The point is you want to make sure that you are culturally sensitive to that individual within the reason, right? Like, I've worked with some families that their culture is, you come in the house, you take your shoes off, you sit on the floor, right? You might not sit on the couch. You sit on the floor, it might be an inconvenience, but you want to build that trust with that family. You sit on the floor, right? Now, if they ask you to do something obnoxious, I'm not going to do something obnoxious, right? I don't even know what example I can give you, but I'm not going to do anything obnoxious. But something like that, or cultural sensitivity might be them inviting you into the house, they offer you tea or crackers or whatever, and you might think it's not a big deal just to say, no, that's okay, I'm not hungry right now. But in their culture, to refuse, refreshments and things like that is seen as a sign of disrespect, and they can get really offended by that, and you can ultimately start losing that client's trust, right? They don't trust you because they think you don't respect them. You're not respecting their culture, right? So little things like that, you want to make sure you're culturally sensitive. And if you don't know, educate yourself. Go look it up, Google it, Chat GPT, whatever. Just kind of familiarize yourself with what the what's culturally appropriate for whatever the individual is you're dealing with at the time. Number 9, treating clients like a task instead of a person. Case management is relationship driven. At the end of the day, it's built on relationships. You have to be a relationship builder to be in this business, but you don't want to treat people like a task, nor do people want to feel like they are a task. Like, you don't want to, when you're meeting with a family, they don't want to feel rushed. I understand, like, as case managers, you're like working at a circus. It's like a balancing act. You're doing multiple things. You're juggling meetings, you're juggling visits, you're juggling paperwork, documentation, you're juggling, emergencies, you're putting out all these fires, and you might have to fight the urge to treat people like they are a task. And believe it or not, they know when you're rushing them or you're just trying to do it because it's a formality. It's not relationship centered. So you have to clear your mind of all the work that needs to be done and just focus on the individual at the time, because they are people and they don't want to feel like a time constraint for you. They want to feel like a person. Like, you don't want to have rushed meetings, focusing only on the paperwork. You have a meeting, you're developing whatever the person's in their plan is, a treatment plan, and all you're focusing on are the paperwork, the assessments, X, Y, and Z. You're not even looking up. You want to make sure you're looking up and you're talking to them and asking them questions, showing concern, things of that nature, because at the end of the day, they're people. They want to feel like people. And so those are the 9 things that case managers do that destroy trust. So if you want to take the Brené Brown approach, you want to make sure that you're investing in people, you're trusting them, you're treating them with respect, you're respecting their culture, you're asking thought-provoking questions, showing that you are interested in them. Because at the end of the day, trust is the foundation of case management. Once a client stops trusting you, everything else in the helping relationship becomes harder. It becomes very contentious. It becomes significantly more challenging to serve that individual once you lose that trust. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind, and remember that trust is not one grand gesture. Is built incrementally over time, daily, with each individual that you're serving. Hey, thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you like this video, give it 2 thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you alerted every time I upload a new video. If you think this video was good, go ahead and click over here where I talk about why case management is necessary. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.